Feeling stuck or unfulfilled? Searching for more meaning in your work and life? Wondering what's next? You're not alone, and you're in the right place. This is Focus on Why, the podcast that turns reflection into action. I'm Amy Rowlandson, and each week I dive deep with guests who've chosen to live and work with purpose. Together we explore what drives them, shapes their decisions, and gives their life meaning. Through real stories and honest conversations, you'll discover how to gain clarity, make confident choices, and create a life that truly matters. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Before we dive in, do you need help creating a more purposeful way of life? Through one-to-one coaching, I can help you clarify your why and create a plan that aligns your values with your work. Book a free 30-minute discovery call with me today. The booking link is in the show notes. Today on Focus on Why, I am joined by Barbara Nixon. Hello and welcome.
Hey Amy, how are you doing? So lovely to be here.
Well, I'm really well, thank you. And I'm delighted you're here. Let's kick it off. What is it you're focusing on right now?
Do you know what I'm focusing on? I'm focusing on being super intentional. I started a habit, and I love this question. I started a habit a couple of years back where I had every Friday and I just used to date myself. And it was literally that simple. So I'd wake up on a Friday and I told everybody that this is what I was doing. It became a mini routine for me. And on a Friday, I'd wake up and think, right, what do I want to do today? And it could be as simple as going for a walk, it could be going to the art gallery, taking myself for a nice lunch, but anything that really kind of filled me up. And this was such a lovely habit. And I'm going to call it a ritual because it became a bit of a ritual for me. It was such a lovely ritual that I had for ages. And then it just slipped away. That things happened, life happened, I got busy, lots of other demands on my time. And then only recently, I kind of remembered, I think it popped up on either social on a memory or something or in my diary. I got reminded by it and I thought, I really miss it. So that's my focus at the minute is to get really intentional about one, where I'm spending my time and filling my cup with joyous things. That's where I'm going at the minute.
It's such a key practice to embody this, taking yourself out into a space that is new or exciting. And it doesn't have to be that it costs anything either, right? It can be, it's just a connection habit. It's a connection of deepening that connection with yourself and taking yourself on a date, as you said, like connecting this sort of body, mind, and spirit element of us where we can replenish or explore or recharge whatever's needed.
And it was just so lovely. And I always ended Friday feeling so much better. It was like a gift to myself because busyness still happened. I was still busy Monday to Thursday. I had loads of things going on. Weekends were often really busy. But on a Friday, I built a fortress around it. I really protected that time. And you're right, you don't have to spend money. The loveliest of dates happened where I just went to the art gallery and just took my time looking at the paintings and the things that I wanted to look at, or sitting on a park bench and just people watching for a bit. It didn't have to be anything, it was whatever popped into my head. So, yeah, it was such a lovely gift. But you're right, it really nourishes the soul, and we don't often give ourselves time to do it.
And that gift to yourself that you have allowed to lapse, essentially, it's a boundary that's now become blurred.
It is. And to be perfectly honest, other things, it's not as if I'm not doing it, so other things replaced that. So I didn't miss it because I was still filling my cup in other areas because that's such a huge part of my work, and I like to walk my talk. But I just didn't do it that way, and I think I miss that, just the adventure of it, of just getting up and going, "Right, what do I wanna do?" And there's no wrong answer to that. It always scared my husband a little bit that I was gonna get up and just go get on a plane or do something really. Yeah, but it's just really lovely to decide what is it you want to do and give yourself permission that there is no wrong answer. Because so often, don't we just always think of other people? So when we say, what do we want? I always think that's the hardest question to answer. What is it that we want? And so every Friday, what is it that I want to do? Which just became, it stretched that muscle
And what is it that you want, Barbara?
in life in general. Yeah, I just want more of the same. I love what I do. I love the work that I do. And yeah, I just want to keep doing that. So I essentially help people, leaders, senior leaders, remove the blocks that are holding them back. So I work with people in a variety of different ways, and I've been doing that for pretty much all of my career, with different, slightly different iterations and slightly different hats on, but always with the same overarching goal. So what I want more of the same. Yeah, I just want to keep doing. I can't imagine doing anything else.
And how did it arise that this is your focus?
I started my first job straight out of university. I had a couple of false starts, little jobs, but my first main job was in the people development department, and it was quite a big department of a big retailer. And it was such a gift. What a gift that, when I look back now, such a gift of a role. And I remember being part of the company induction. They used to do a really huge company induction for all the new managers. And the CEO at the time was on stage in front before me. I had kind of like a bit part, doing a bit of a rah, rah, rah motivation. And he said something he said, you're all managers now. It's your job. Someone will have helped you get you to where you are today. Your job is to help other people. And it was like, and it's gonna sound strange to but it wasn't odd at the time. It was like I was hit by a bit of a bolt of lightning. It was an of courseness moment, and it was like, this is what I'm here to do. It was so profound that it took over me, and I was stood in the wings, just listening to this tiny little moment, and it was like, oh, everything makes sense now. That's what I'm here to do. Just help other people along the way. And like I said, that's changed. It's changed kind of, it's blended and I've had different iterations of that. But ultimately, that's always been what I've done. I've always been in the people development, personal development space. I've always helped other people get to where they want to be. And that's never changed. That was all. If you cut me in half like a stick of rock, that would be running through me. And it was because it all got planted in that moment.
And that stick of rock helping others to get where they want to be, the realization of this call is that you started out by being super intentional to get yourself where you want to be.
Yes. If I don't do it, then one, I'm no good to anybody else. I'm such a big believer that you have to fill your own cup first. And I've learned that lesson the hard way, as most of us have. I'm a mum of four kids. Well, they're not children anymore, but I've had four tiny little ones, and I know what it's like to be busy. I know what it's like to be pulled in all directions. I was brought up by a people pleaser. I know what it's like to be conditioned to help other people. I have been in situations where I have overcommitted and said yes, probably more times than I can wave a stick at. And I know how quickly it can deplete you. And if you're not careful, this lesson or this message that we have of, yes, we've got to be all things to all people, we've got to help other people out, we've got to support other people, whatever that underlying message is for you, but it can quickly turn sour, can't it? And you're no good to anybody unless you fill your own cup. You're no good to anybody unless you're leading yourself. And such a huge part of my work is supporting people in self-leadership, because when you really crack that, then you've got an abundance of energy to give to other people. You can do more just by focusing on yourself first. And I also think that you're a great role model. We all need to be giving other people permission to say, actually, if you just take care of yourself a little bit, then everything's going to be so much easier. It will get easier.
And this giving more and helping, you said you were brought up by a people pleaser. What's the difference for you between giving and helping and pleasing people?
One of them's on your terms and one of them's on other people's terms, I think. So the people pleasing, and let's just to be clear, I don't think there's anything wrong with being there for other people, obviously, helping other people. And I actually think it's a great attitude to have. But when it turns into people pleasing, it's all about them. That you're not in the equation anymore. It's about you. You're giving yourself too much of yourself to other people. Yeah. And that's what can really deplete your energy, turn into burnout if you're not careful, cause resentment. It just doesn't actually support you in any way. So I think it's just about shifting. There has to be a I always think you've got to have a level of discernment of how am I actually serving you now and how am I serving myself? It's got to be win-win.
Yeah, I hear that. And that of courseness moment that you described, I love that. You've spoken about these moments. What other moments have you been hit by this bolt of light?
Oh, crikey, so many actually. That underlying purpose has been there throughout. So, and I get reminded of it every so often. The bolts come when I have an amazing conversation with a client, or I see a difference in a client when they just walking different, or say something, and I think, ah, they've got it. It's finally they've had that switch, and you're nodding because I know that you've definitely been there. And until you've seen it, it's very difficult to describe. But it's that shift of energy that a client would have, and that always re-cements my purpose. I get this overwhelming gratitude of I am in exactly the right place doing exactly the right thing, and it can pop up even on reflection. I might be walking the dog or I might be driving the car, and all of a sudden I'll be reflecting on a conversation that I have with somebody, or I might get a text from somebody who, and it's happened more times than I can remember, where somebody might have struggled to they might be overworking or be what I call stuck in the weeds, and struggling working longer hours or working weekends. And then I get a text saying, I took my wife out for dinner and it was amazing. I've been dating my wife and we've not done that for ages. Or I put the kids to bed, or I took the kids to the theatre. And it's those moments, the normal everyday daily moments that it's the ripple effect, the impact that the work that we're having that's having on somebody else's life is just so profound. And so that's when I get the bolt of lightning. I think actually, that conversation or the work that we did, that's affected so many more people than the two people that were sat in the room.
And those bolts of lightning, clearly they're not a bolt of lightning.
No,
What does happen for you? What is it that you feel in that moment?
it's an overwhelming gratitude.
Hmm.
Yeah, um it's the gratitude of it's just what does it feel like? Let me just kind of try and dissect it for you. It's a warm, squidgy feeling. That's it in a nutshell. That's what it is. It's just, when you just think, oh, this is so good. I'm just really enjoying myself right now. And for somebody else, they might get it when, they've achieved something amazing at work, or they've seen their child score a goal, or it could be anything. But for me, it's those moments of just real happiness and gratitude and excitement that I think, oh, do you know what? We've done good. We've done good in that minute.
And you describe it as warm and squidgy. Does it have like a color or a shape or anything? As
I'm not a very visual person. I have moments of being able to visualize things, but it's not. I don't rely on it. So no, it doesn't have a color and it doesn't have a shape. But what a great question! It has a tingling feeling. So it's where you just get goosebumps all over. Yeah, it's kind of a feeling of awe.
and you've given that to me right now. I talk about this, Barbara. I call it tap into the tingle,
Mm,
because these goosebumps you cannot just make them happen. It
no, you
has to
can't.
happen as a result of a connection that is so real. And you just described it as this feeling of awe. And it can be that, it can be inspiration, it can be connection, whatever it is. It's exactly that. It's that tingle and that sort of warm, squidgy feeling that follows the cool sort of goosebump hair standing on end. When else do you experience those type of moments?
Outside of work or just in, yeah, in
Yeah,
general?
in life. Yeah.
I experience them when I'm in nature. I get real connection when I'm in nature, so I like to do that every day. So when I'm in a wood, or I'm seeing an amazing view, or I'm just surrounded by countryside, or I come across like a rippling stream, and I really love nature, so it's around that. When else do I get it? I get it. I'm a very spontaneous person as well, so it's kind of my love language is spontaneity. So I have moments where we'll be sat on the sofa and I'll go, do you know what? Let's just do this. And I get those moments when my husband or whoever's with me at the time goes, yeah, okay, let's do that. I love a person that's up for an adventure. So when I get the yes, it's like, come on, Len, let's play, let's go do something fun. So in those two moments, or if you're driving along and you've got your favorite tune, cranked up loud in your car, and you've got no traffic, and you've just, yeah, or you're on a country road somewhere. I had this yesterday, actually. I was driving back from Newcastle, and I was on a bit of a country road, and it was just me for a while, and I had a great tune on, and I thought, do you know what? This gets to be my life. How cool is that? I do that a lot. I do say that to myself, like, you know what? This gets to be my life. I'm really, really, it's really cool.
It is really cool. And I love that. This sort of goosebump instigation. It's so important to, in that moment, just take a pause to recognize what has elicited it, because this is going to give you the signal of what really matters. What is this source of absolute deep connection, joy, pride, excitement, or adventure, whatever it is? So thank you for tapping into your tingle of your warm squidginess. It really is key, because knowing when to celebrate, knowing when it's happening, is part of the problem. That when we don't stop to recognize these moments, we don't necessarily notice that they're happening, and therefore we can't instigate them. You said right at the beginning, people don't know what it is that they want. And this is part of the conundrum, is to just take a moment. This is what you want. This is exactly this spontaneity, this adventure, fun, play is absolutely what is driving you in your life and work. So yeah, love it.
Yeah, I think I learned quite early on. I was quite lucky because my dad was very a similar mindset. So I was kind of brought up with that sense of adventure and spontaneity, and just recognizing your joy. So following your joy is kind of a really big thing for me. And I do on a regular basis. When I say regular, at least once or twice a year, I actually sit down and consciously go, what's my joy right now? And it can be anything from having a Mr. Whippy ice cream to going to the cinema or going on holiday. It doesn't have to be big things. It can be the teeny tiniest of things, but it's just about recognizing all of them. And I just write them down. I do a bit of a mind map for myself, and I write them all down, because sometimes things change, and sometimes you've got things that they're always going to be there because they're just hardwired into who you are. But it's giving yourself time to go, actually, this is still me. This is what I like. It's just stretching those muscles.
Yeah, I love it. And purpose for you, what has been the moments like the what's my joy right now? What is it that you do for the purpose element of your life and work?
So just tell me again what your definition of purpose is. I know I've asked you this a couple of times. I don't, so tell me again. Let's have a chat.
Yeah. So purpose is the overarching intention that sets your direction in life. And then the why is separate but interconnected, is the meaningful significance that you assign to that. So it's the driver, the fuel that is helping you to achieve your purpose. And it's actually achieved through the phase of reflection with action. So reflection is where you are looking for the meaning, the why, and then the action is where the purpose is put into motion. And so the combination of this reflection with action, and you shared a brilliant one earlier where you were talking about those shifts and switches of energy for your clients re-cements your purpose of and the gratitude that you have, this overwhelming gratitude, because then you can reflect on a conversation, which is then to deepen that meaning or get a text of what's happened. And that is exactly the reflection with action combo.
Mm. So my and I love hearing your definition. This is great. This is a great conversation. I'm really enjoying it. So I think my purpose, and I'd love your input on this actually, Amy. I think my purpose is probably the of courseness moment that I felt, which is I'm here to help people grow. That's kind of like the my operating system. Yeah, behind the scenes. This is what's driving me every single day. How I do that, which is my why. Am I on the right track? How I
Yeah.
do that, which is my why, is how I show up with my in my work. So it'll be the conversations that I have with my clients. It'll be the way that I conduct myself and my own personal habits and my constant love of learning and reading and studying and all of that those things that enable me to perform my purpose. It'll be things like the mastermind groups and programs that I run and the sessions, the workshops that I run. All of those are the vehicles for my purpose. But ultimately, it's also the conversations that I have with ad hoc people. I'm a great one. I don't know whether you think it's annoying or not. A lot of people have told me it's if anyway, I'll tell you what I mean. I talk to strangers all the time. I'm a big one for talking to strangers. If you are sat next to me on a plane, we're going to have a chat. If we bump into each other in the I don't know, a coffee shop or something. I've had like the best conversations with strangers on trains and coffee shops and with waiters and things. So it's in those conversations, tiny little moments where somebody asks me something and I can support them. And it doesn't have to be anything, it doesn't have to be a thing. It can just be a throwaway conversation. And I've had people come back to me afterwards and say, "Oh, do you know that thing when we haven't had a chat with another dog walker or something? It really meant something. Thank you for that." So it's in all of those. It's kind of sowing those seeds in everything.
Yeah. And that's meaningful when somebody says it really meant something, that depth of connection again with what's happened, with the process of simple conversations and reaching out to people that you don't know, don't have to have any history with them, or you might not even have any future with them, but in that moment you have aligned with what really matters to you, which is this adventure, this let's play, let's see what fun we can have in this absolute moment, which will go on to create something. It will set a path in their life, in my life. I don't even need to know what it is about.
Exactly. It doesn't have to, I don't ever have to know anything. It could be a thing or not be anything. It could just be a great a moment of connection between two people. And that's enough, isn't it? Sometimes I
Yeah.
think that's exactly what we both needed in that moment.
Yeah. So your overwhelming gratitude and following of joy. And now this is different to pursuing, because I think pursuing is that you never attain it. But what you're doing is you are the following of joy, in terms of following your joy, is that you're bringing it into every moment, which is very different.
Yes, and I do try and do that. There's every day there's something. There's always something that I do that brings me joy. But also in the moments where you've got a stressful moment and I don't know, you sat in traffic or something and just I don't like to. There are obviously, I'm describing myself as a bit of perfect. I'm not perfect. There are moments when you're sat in traffic or you're having those days where you think, oh, crikey, I'm not handling it very well today. Of course, I'm human just like anybody else. But I do try and consciously think, right, what can I do in this moment to make me feel a little bit better or help other people? feel a little bit better. And it could be simple, like playing a daft game in the car when you're sat in traffic, or downing tools because you're not getting what you I don't know, maybe your systems, your laptop's not working at the moment, and you think, enough, I'm just going to down tools and go do something else. So I'm quite good at putting mini pattern interrupts into my life.
And what I'm hearing here, Barbara, is this gift that you've mentioned several times throughout, this gift to yourself, is one of responsibility, personal responsibility, not outsourcing your need to be fulfilled or to be joyful or happy. It's not on anyone else. This is your responsibility to sort that out.
Yes. And I do believe that. I think in any kind of relationship, it's our job to be to bring the happiness. It's your job to bring your happiness. And together, look at what we can create. How amazing. And it doesn't mean to say I won't support you when you need it. And likewise, vice versa. I'd want support if when I need it as well. It's not about not asking for help, but it's about knowing that it's still your life and your happiness, and that's on us.
It is absolutely on us. And this outsourcing of fulfillment and engagement has become a problem in the workplace, such that now Gallup reports in the 2025 report said that 79% are actively not engaged or disengaged in their work. Now, that I see as being an issue because people are expecting others to externally motivate them in the workplace because they don't understand what it is that they enjoy, what it is that they are constitutes fulfillment for them. And therefore, it's become the manager's roles to help people to be motivated. Now, we know that intrinsic motivation is the best.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think you're right. I read an interesting article about this the other day about what happens when we start a role. Most people are super motivated in that moment on either the run up to the start of the role, or when they first get to their new position. What happens afterwards, and what responsibility have we got in order to maintain our own motivation, rather than just as you quite rightly said, handing over that responsibility to other people, because that can dip very quickly. So if Gallup is saying, what was the number that you said? Well, it's certainly
Yeah,
that's
79% if you group the two, not engaged or actively disengaged.
which is huge, right? So what's happened between them being super engaged at the start of their role to now? And is it because they're just not seeing it from other people?
Yeah, I mean the solution was to change the way that people are managed, and yet the managers are the ones that are the most stressed, are the most angry,
Mm.
frustrated, sad, overwhelmed. So you're asking the overwhelmed to help the unfulfilled, and it's just a loop that is not going to close, and it's just going to keep going. In terms of your understanding of this, in terms of you mentioned that you get a text or you see a shift and you're out in nature, you've worked out these moments of understanding what it is that you love. You said that your love language was spontaneity, but also you know how to celebrate it, how to receive it through quality time, through other praise and encouragement from others. What is it that the feedback that you're getting, their words of affirmation? Have you heard of the Gary Chapman's love languages, of the different ones? Yeah. So what are yours?
What my actual love language
Yeah.
is? Oh, it's been a while since we did it. Me and my husband did it at the very start of our relationship. We were very pragmatic, and we sat down and did the love languages just so that we could actually support each other through this new relationship. So not very romantic, but it worked a treat. I'm trying to think what. So there was words of affirmation, wasn't there? There was
Acts of service, receiving gifts,
yes.
quality time, physical
Hmm.
touch.
So I'm a mix between physical touch and quality time. I am quite demanding like that. I do want your time. Yeah, I do want your time. But yeah, I want to be off doing fun things. So it's yeah, definitely both of those. I'd say that if I was going to pick a dominant one, it would be quality of time and
Yeah.
then touch after that because I love a hug.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, virtual hug coming your way right now because it's so key in terms of this communication of how we are recognizing what's important to us. And purpose is a big part of this. Success, how we recognize success is a big part of this instead of meeting other people's versions of what does success mean, and we can easily get whipped up into the marketing of what it is that we are supposed to or should need, want, desire. And yet, as you said right at the beginning, I'm going back to understanding and to fulfilling what fills my cup.
Yeah, exactly. And giving yourself permission to define success for yourself. Again, that's such a powerful thing to do because it doesn't have to be and having the awareness that it doesn't have to be what anybody else says or what you've been taught or what you've read or anything that you've seen. It can be completely different and that's okay. And having that conversation with your nearest and dearest and then wanting having a different definition, it doesn't mean anything, it's just that you've got a different definition of success. And I'm just thinking back to what you were saying in terms of knowing what you need and knowing what works for you. That again is a great exercise to do. And it doesn't have to be big things and it doesn't have to mean anything. It can be as simple as I'm at my best when I go for a walk every day. So I'm going to keep doing that, just like brushing my teeth. I call it the pocket of air. So I have when I'm working with people, that's the very first thing that I get people to do is let's define your pocket of air, whatever that might be. It could be going for a run, it could be doing your yoga, it could be going for a walk, like which is mine, but just decide what it is and then do it every single day, just like brushing your teeth. And it doesn't have to give you goosebumps every day. There's certain times today I went for a walk, it was throwing it down and it was all right. But I know that I feel better as a result of that. Yeah. There's a question that I ask people all the time, which is, do you know what you need in place to be at your best? And that once you decide what that is, and you can change it over time, things change. But for now, do you know what it is when what you've got in place when when you're really at your best, and do you keep doing them consistently? And don't let them fall by the wayside just because somebody asks. It's not I'll do this until somebody else needs me or until somebody needs that time for a meeting or whatever. It's you've got a boundary. This is what I do because when I do it, I'm so much better. And you're gonna like being, hanging in around with me so much more than when I don't do it. So I need that time.
I am so with you on this. And in terms of, there's a lot of focus on values and understanding what your core values are. I also look at the core needs of what it is and just to get to okay, because this isn't to be the most amazing. Yes, that's next steps, but to get to okay is the first step to the basics, the fundamental basics, which do feed into the love languages that you're talking about. So is it a case of you need a certain amount of connection with yourself or with others, or but then also the basic sleep, like, and food and exercise and movement and all of those elements. There's also core feelings of understanding what it is that you need to feel okay. And for you, this is that fun, that joy, the recognizing that I need adventure and spontaneity. They're core to you. So these core needs, feelings, and values, a combo is fabulous. And I love your exercises. They are so important, and they're not to be undervalued or sort of underestimated. Those daily, everyday, simple moments you shared earlier about the text that you get where someone has simply turned up for bedtime, and that means so much than a big, huge event or celebration or whatever. That could be your definition of success.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And for so many people, it is. That's just what they want. I want to hang out with my kids. I want to date my partner. I want to be at home more. I want to do fun things, whatever that might be. and knowing that that's okay, that it doesn't have to be huge. Whatever huge is, to be honest, that is huge. That's a big thing, right? But it's just, it's a great goal to have.
And as you said, to do this as an audit once or twice a year, just to assure that you are aligned with who you are right now at this point in time, because it evolves. It definitely does shift as you mature through different seasons of your life.
Yes, it really does. And remembering that that's okay too. So there might be a time where you think, actually, I don't want to. Holidays used to do it for me, but I don't want to go on holiday for this. And it's making peace with things and letting things go. But they don't have to be gone forever. Like, things can come back. We're allowed to ebb and flow.
Yeah, I love that. I love that phrase. It's such a great understanding that there's also a constant, because it is a constant of this ebb and flow. It's, you know, that it's going to be a continuum, but it is also, there is choice here. There is an understanding. You've mentioned many times the adventure, but then we've also talked about the responsibility that we need to take on board as well of our own autonomy and choice and decision making. So with the responsibility, that's where the adventure and the freedom comes to.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. I find that when we start consciously looking at ourselves, that it becomes easier for other people. I like spontaneity and I like adventure, but as well as that, I have to be aware that the person that I'm with might not want to do anything like that in that moment, right? So that's a responsibility that I have, that it doesn't always mean just because I like it doesn't mean to say that everybody does. And sometimes compromise has to happen too. And I can have my adventure some other time. I get my turns. I can look for that in a different moment. So I also think that when we start becoming, and we're going full circle now, being very intentional about ourselves, we become very conscious of other people's needs too.
I love that. And I love a full circle moment. And what better way to wrap up today's conversation? Thank you so much, Barbara. How would someone get in contact with you and continue this conversation?
You can find me on my website, which is barbaranixon.co.uk. I'm on LinkedIn. I have my own podcast, which you're going to come on soon, which I'm very excited about, which is Smash Your Unsealing. Those are the best ways. But Amy, I've had the best time. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It's just been an absolute joy to play with our conversation today. So thank you. Have you got some final words, please?
I have. My final words are, make some time. When you're listening to this, just make some time to sit and do the things that we've talked about. Just decide what your joy is and do one thing from your joy list and see how it works for you.
That's a wrap for today, but the journey doesn't end here. Share your takeaways, leave a review, or post your insights. Your voice helps others discover the value of these stories. Want to dive deeper into purpose? Check the show notes for ways to work with me. Get a copy of my book or to sign up for Friday Focus, my weekly newsletter packed with clarity and inspiration. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.